Every day, we are bombarded with news, headlines, clips, narratives, noise. But somewhere beneath it all lies the truth and the impact on our country. Here at America in Mind, we break down the issues clearly, calmly, and completely. We give you both sides of the story. We don't tell you what to think. We just ask a simple question. Is this what we want for America? Today we face a question that cuts deeper than headlines and politics. Are we on the brink of another war in the Middle East? The Wall Street Journal reports that the president has greenlit a plan to strike Iran's nuclear facilities, specifically the hardened Fordo site, one that only American weapons can breach. Stealth bombers, bunker busters, a message with shock and awe. But as the jets warm up and diplomats scramble, one question echoes in the minds of millions of Americans. Is this what we want for our country? Welcome to America in Mind, where we don't chase clicks, we chase truth. We have a lot to get into, so let's dive in.
Wall Street Journal is reporting tonight a bit of breaking news that the president has signed off on a plan to strike Iran's nuclear facilities. That is where we start tonight, and that likely means the Fordo facility, the only Iranian nuclear facility that Israel can't quite get to, requiring our American $4 million bunker buster bomb and a stealth bomber to drop it. And now, of course, we're seeing the New York Times saying that Iran is ready to meet. Obviously, they want to stall as long as possible and try to get into another weeks-long negotiation. Not surprising. So it could be a very interesting night. It could be a very interesting couple of days as we watch the skies over Israel and also over Iran at 2 o'clock in the morning in the Middle East. That's Tel Aviv right there on the screen, a live picture. The New York Post is reporting some new polling today from JL Partners that 65% of MAGA Republicans support strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. 51% of generic Republican voters also support the strikes on the nuke program of the world's largest sponsor of terrorism. But over the past few days, the president has taken some tremendous heat from the MAGA coalition that he himself created. Some huge names in MAGA world. We talked about this last night. Tucker, Steve Bannon, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all preemptively criticizing the president for dragging the United States into another Middle East forever war, regime change, nation building, and all the nonsense that we have seen in this country over the last 30 years.
Let's step back for a moment. Before the headlines take us for a ride, before the talking points flood the screen, let's ask the bigger question. What's really at stake here? Are we talking about preventing war or risking one? Are we defending American interests or walking into another endless conflict that history will judge harshly? Because whether you support the strike or fear what comes next, this issue isn't black and white. So let's set aside the noise, set aside the personalities, and take a clear, honest look at both sides of this argument, starting with the case for the strike. For 3 decades, Israeli and U.S. intelligence have warned that Iran was close to building a nuclear bomb. Critics scoffed, claiming the warnings were political. But here we are. Iran has enriched uranium to near weapons grade, and the International Atomic Energy Agency has limited access. The Biden-era deal is dead. Sanctions didn't stop them. Negotiations have stalled. Now, with Israel under direct threat and American bases in the region targeted by Iranian-backed forces, supporters of the strike argue, a nuclear Iran wouldn't just be a threat to Israel, it would destabilize the entire Middle East. Israel, our closest ally in the region, already faces near-daily attacks from Iran-backed terror groups. Give Iran a nuclear umbrella, and those groups become bolder, not weaker. And let's not forget, over 200,000 American citizens live in Israel. If Iran launches a nuclear strike, or gives cover to those who would, thousands of Americans could die. Let's look at why some believe a strike on Iran's nuclear facilities isn't just justified, it's necessary. Reason 1. Preventing a nuclear-armed Iran. Iran has enriched uranium to near weapons-grade levels. With inspectors restricted and underground facilities hardened, supporters argue this may be the last chance to stop them before it's too late. Reason 2. Deterring Iran's proxy militants. Iran doesn't act alone. It arms and directs Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and other groups across the region. With nuclear protection, those groups would grow bolder, not weaker. A decisive strike now sends a message. There is a line you cannot cross. Reason 3. Protecting American lives abroad. More than 200,000 American citizens live in Israel. If Iran, or one of its proxies, ever launched a nuclear attack, thousands of Americans could die. This isn't just about geopolitics. This is personal.
Thousands of American citizens who live, work, or are visiting the area. But with Israel and Iran continuing to launch attacks at one another, the risk is growing for Americans who could be caught in the crossfire. On Monday, the State Department raised its travel warning to Israel to level 4, the highest level, which means do not travel there.
Reason 4. Surgical precision, not another war. This is not Iraq. And it's not Afghanistan. No boots on the ground, no regime change. Just a surgical strike in and out, nothing more. Reason 5. Diplomacy has failed. The Biden-era nuclear deal has collapsed. Sanctions didn't stop them. Negotiations have stalled. Many believe action is now the only option that speaks clearly. Reason 6. Preventing a larger war. Ironically, a small and targeted strike today could prevent a devastating war tomorrow. Supporters argue it's about stopping something far worse before it starts. Reason 7. Standing with Israel. Iran has openly threatened to wipe Israel off the map. If we truly stand by our allies, then we cannot let them face that threat alone. Supporters of the strike believe this is about strength, deterrence, and protecting innocent lives before it's too late. Let's now look at the other side. Why many believe a strike on Iran's nuclear facilities could be a dangerous mistake. Reason 1. Risk of a regional war. A strike on Iran could ignite a broader conflict across the Middle East. Iran could retaliate directly, or through its many proxy militias. Israel, American troops, oil routes, and allied nations could all become targets within hours. Reason 2. Civilian casualties and fallout. Even a precision strike carries a human cost. Iran's nuclear facilities are buried near population centers. Civilians could be injured or killed, and radiation risks could spread across borders. Reason 3. Rallying Iran around the regime. An attack could backfire politically. Right now, Iran's government faces internal pressure and unrest. But a US-led strike might unify the Iranian people behind their leaders, not against them. Reason 4. Global diplomatic fallout. A preemptive strike could fracture US alliances. It may be condemned by the United Nations, spark international protests, and alienate European partners. That could leave America more isolated on the world stage. Reason 5. Breaking international norms. Striking a sovereign nation without UN approval or an immediate threat sets a dangerous precedent. What message does that send to other nuclear powers or nations on the edge? Reason 6. Uncertain long-term effectiveness. Even if the strike succeeds, Iran may rebuild. Their scientists, equipment, and knowledge still exist. In other words, we may delay the program, but not destroy it. Reason 7. Risk of escalation into another forever war. Some fear this will become Iraq or Afghanistan all over again. Initial strikes may be limited, but mission creep is real. A retaliation here, a base attack there. Before long, we're in another endless conflict we can't afford. Critics of the strike warn, this isn't just about stopping a threat, it's about choosing a path. And that path could lead to years of bloodshed, division, and global instability. So where does that leave us? The president says his only goal is to ensure Iran doesn't get the bomb. He's said that for 20 years. And there's consistency in that. But consistency alone doesn't make it right. This is a moment where leadership requires more than strategy. It requires wisdom. Are we prepared for the consequences? Not just militarily, but morally, financially, and generationally. Maybe you agree with the plan. Maybe you fear what's coming next. But either way, Is this what we want for America? A nation that answers every threat with firepower? Or one that remembers the cost of war and chooses its battles with the weight of history in mind? This isn't just about Iran. It's about who we are and what kind of America we want to leave behind. What we face today isn't just about headlines. It's about who we are and who we're becoming. The conversation doesn't end here. What do you think this says about where America is heading? Do you believe this is the right move, or a step too far? Which side of the argument do you find more convincing, and why? Drop a comment below, and let's keep this conversation going. If you're someone who believes truth still matters, and that America is worth thinking about, then like, share, and subscribe. This is America in Mind. Stay grounded, stay vigilant, stay informed, and mostly, stay free.